Jill, you guys ready? All right, good morning, everyone. It's 10 a.m. We will get the January 22nd, 2025 meeting of the License and Variance Board. We'll bring that to order. I am Richard Garland, the Community Services Administrator for the City of Smyrna. To my left is our Public Works Director, Eric. I'm Eric Randall, thank you. I couldn't remember Randall. Let's go. And to his left is Andrea Worthy. I remembered her entire name. She is the Economic Development Director. Thank you guys for being here this morning. We will get started with item A of formal business. And for the purposes of this meeting, as we get to the reason that you're here, have you identified everyone yet, or do we need to do that as we go? Okay. All right. So we will, as we get to your item, please raise your hand to notify that you are here, and we will proceed from there. The first item on our agenda is variance request V24-003, increase maximum impervious surface area from 35% to 36.4% on land lot 314 at 4157 Mason Avenue. Karen and Jerry Walters are the applicants. Thank you. Ms. Crow, if you would give us a background on this, please.
Yes, good morning, Caitlin Crow, Planner 1, Community Development. So as you just read out, this is variance V25-003 to allow for the impervious surface increase from 35% to 36.4%. So this subject parcel is a 0.4 acre lot located in the Bennett Woods subdivision. So the applicant has recently replaced the front stoop of the property and is looking to now put a front roof over that just to keep out of the inclement elements. So the property is currently over the impervious surface area that is allowed in the R15 zoning district by 1.4%. Again, this is existing to the property. This was prior to the work being done, during the work, it was discovered that it was over, again, just by 1.4%. So they are potentially looking to also put over a covered roof area at the rear of the property. This has since been withdrawn from the permit, but just wanted to make sure that was included in this in case they ever wanted to do that in the future. It is represented on the site plan you received with the application. So since the stormwater ordinance does not differentiate between new and replaced impervious surface area, this new extension of the roof did cause this nonconformity to be extended, which is what brought this variance in today, because we do need to bring it to current codes. Since there is no increase in impervious surface area or land disturbing activities, engineering has determined that no mitigation plan is required to be able to support this impervious surface increase. Strict application would prevent this applicant from putting anything on the property because it is currently over, again, by that 1.4%. So after reviewing the application, staff is supportive of the request and recommends your approval with just the standard condition. Approval of the requested variance is conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with the variance application. And I can answer any questions you might have.
All right, any questions for Ms. Crow?
All right, thank you.
Ms. Crow. And Ms. Walters, if you would please step to the microphone, the podium that has a microphone. State your name for the record, please.
Karen Walters.
Thank you very much. Are there anything you'd like to add to what Ms. Crow submitted?
No, I just need a roof on my porch.
Okay. And you understand that there is one condition placed on this request, that is the substantial completion or completing this in compliance with the site plan?
Right.
You understand that?
Yes,
You guys agree to make sure that that happens? All right. Are there any questions for Ms. Walters? Thank you very much. You can have a seat. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who would like to speak for or against this variance request, you can do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve variance V 25-003 to increase the maximum impervious surface area from 35% to 36.4% in land lot 314 at 4157 Manson Avenue. Karen and Jerry Walters, the applicant.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, ma'am. Next item on the agenda is a variance request V 25-004, allow 6-foot fence in front yard, land lot 779 at 2200 Lake Park Drive. Christina Leidner Eisenhart is the applicant. The present? Okay. I was going to say, you don't look like a Christina, but who am I to judge?
All right, again, Caitlin Crow, Planner 1, Community Development. So this subject parcel is a 6.87 acre lot located just on the north side of Lake Park Drive. It is a commercial property zoned office institutional. So this subject property was recently redeveloped into an educational facility known as the Amana Academy, which is a charter school that is recently relocated here to Smyrna. So the site does have one large main building as well as 3 new modular buildings that were just erected here in 2020. I guess this is last year now, 2024, and all of them face towards the interior parking lot. And that leaves little room for any type of play area. So the applicant has proposed that this play area will be to the side and rear of the main building, which is the side that is closer to Lake Park Drive. Now, since this is an educational facility, the applicant is looking to secure the site for the playground as well as just security in general for the children. So they are proposing to allow for a 6-foot fence to be in the front yard of this property. Now, strict application of our fencing ordinance requires that the maximum height within the front yard be 4 feet. Since Lake Park Drive is a pretty busy roadway, they are requesting to go up to 6 feet for portions of this fence for that enhanced security. So the majority of the fence is actually going to be behind that 50-foot setback. It is just 2 small sections on either side of that entrance driveway that will be extended into the front 50 feet. The one next to the driveway is to curve along with the road, so there's no kind of inconsistencies with the look. And then the other is there is an inlet that they would like to have kind of be behind the security of the fence. So community development does not see any negative impacts to this. There are several other fences in the area that are quite similar to the ones that they have proposed in their application. And just a couple years ago in 2023, the board did approve a very similar variance just down the road at 1800 Lake Park to allow their fence to be in the front yard as well. So there's a precedent of this type of variance in the area. So after reviewing the variance application, staff is supportive of the request and recommends your approval with the standard stipulation on this one as well. Approval of the requested variance is conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan and elevations submitted with the variance application. And again, I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Crow. Any questions?
I do have one.
Yes.
Are there gates proposed with this fence?
There will be a gate, however, it will be well behind the 50-foot. It will be on their main entrance drive. I do not know if that is part of their phase 1 or phase 2. The applicant may be able to answer that as well, but that is a future goal, yes.
I'll dig into that a little bit with the applicant.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Crow. If you would, please, sir, step to the podium and state your name for us, please.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ehab Jalil. I'm the executive director for Amana Academy.
Okay. Jihad?
Ehab.
Ehab.
Yeah, E-H-A-B.
E-H-A-B. Okay.
And last name is J-A-L-E-E-L.
All right. Excellent. Are there any questions?
I do, if you were listening. I have a question about the gates. In particular, when we normally consider gates for access, gates are usually in a on-demand basis, such as to a subdivision, such as to a gated community. In this instance, are the gates going to be closed except for by specific entrance, or are they open for the duration that the school is open?
Right. Our school is a K-8 public charter school, so our children are anywhere from 5 years old to 14 in 8th grade. And so we have already installed a gate on the actual driveway. And so that gate will be closed when school is not in session.
Okay.
During session, it's open. So very typical of any other public school, we'll close it afterwards. The facility is monitored full-time, not just by cameras, but we have, according to law, a full-time school resource officer who's also a licensed police officer as well. And then we do partner with the city for additional resources when we're doing carpool and things like that.
Sounds good. In a previous life, I was the city engineer.
Oh, yes.
And digging into those issues to make sure we don't create congestion issues. Somebody pulls up, can't get through,
Right.
and there's a whole line of cars go, hey, get out of my way.
That's correct.
I understand the way it's working. I wanted to clarify that for this variance application.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add to what Ms. Crowe submitted?
No, the only thing that I'd like to add is that we've appreciated the partnership with community development, and I just want to underline the word substantial adherence to the ordinances and so forth. And so we'll be working with community development to make sure that we're in compliance.
Very good. Are there any other questions?
Thank you all.
And you do understand the one condition that's been placed on this
Absolutely.
as you referred to? Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this variance request, please do so at this time by stepping to the podium. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve variance application V25-004 to allow a 6-foot fence in the front yard of land lot 779- at 2200 Lake Park Drive. Christina Leidner Eisenhart, applicant, represented by Ehab Jalel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is variance request V25-005, allows second accessory structure on land lot 484 at 1143 Pinedale Drive. Don Martucci is the applicant. Thank you. Ms. Crowe, could you give us a background on this, please?
Yes. Again, Caitlin Crowe, Planner 1 Community Development. So as again you just read out, this is V25-005 to allow for that second accessory structure. So this subject parcel is a 0.3 acre lot located on the north side of Pinedale Drive. So the property is currently occupied by a new 2-story home, as well as a shed that is in the far rear of the corner or of the property. So the shed is considered an accessory structure, and the applicant is submitting for a pool, which per our ordinance is also considered an accessory structure. We are allowing one accessory structure per lot per our codes, and thus this variance is required. However, the swimming pool and the shed both have 2 very separate uses, and the applicant is looking to retain the shed for storage of any lawn equipment or other materials that they may need, which the pool cannot accomplish for them. So there are no other variances that are needed to accommodate for this pool, such as setbacks or impervious coverage. So if this stipulation of the second accessory structure were not there, no variances would be needed to accommodate the pool. An existing 6-foot wooden privacy fence is surrounding this backyard, so limited impacts would be given to any of the neighboring properties. After reviewing this application, staff is supportive of the request and does recommend your approval with the standard condition. Approval of the requested variance is conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with the variance application. And again, I can answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Crowe?
Would any future improvements in support of the pool, such as a changing room already be allocated, or would that require an additional variance in the future?
It would require to come back for a variance amendment for that, because if it was a changing room, or I'm assuming you're talking about any other accessory structure as far as that, yes, it would require a variance amendment. That would be a further stipulation since this is site plan specific. To that point, they are right on the impervious coverage allowance for this. So any improvements such as artificial turf would also have to come back and forth for the variance, since that would most likely put them above the impervious coverage.
So no pickleball courts?
Not for this one, unfortunately, without another variance.
Well, you're out of luck, man. Sorry.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Mr. Martucci, could you step forward, please, sir? I know you're disappointed to hear about your pickleball court, but it looks like...
I know. Not there yet. I'm not a pickleball player. But good morning. I'm John Martucci. I'm here with my wife, Samantha Miner. Yes, we're looking to build a pool in our backyard. We just had a child a few months ago. We're looking forward to kind of exposing her to the pool and having her grow up with that luxury. So we appreciate your consideration for this variance.
All right. Any questions? Okay. You understand the one condition that's been placed on this, that you guys substantially complete this, and considering, as Ms. Crowe said, you're right on the edge on impervious surface area.
Right.
Complete
Yes.
this as it has been submitted.
Yes,
All right.
understood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone present who'd like to speak for or against this variance request, please do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve V24-005, a variance request to allow a second accessory structure in land lot 484 at 1143 Pinedale Drive. John Martucci, the applicant.
And I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item on our agenda contains 4 requests on the same property. We will hear the background on all 4 requests, but we will vote on them individually. The first is variance request V25-006, increase the accessory structure height from 15 feet to 16.3 feet on land lot 344 at 2834 Ivanhoe Lane. Whitney Price is the applicant. Whitney is in the back of the room, so thank you for being here. Ms. Crowe, could you give us the background on these 4 requests, 4 variances?
Yes, absolutely. So again, Caitlin Crowe, Planner 1 Community Development. So as you mentioned, there are 4, which as you know, you'll vote on them separately, but I'll go ahead and cover them all in one just to expedite this. So the first variance that you read out was V25-006 to increase the accessory structure height from 15 to 16.3 feet. The next variance will be V25-007 to reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet. Then we have V25-008 to reduce the accessory structure rear setback from 5 feet to 4 feet. And the last variance today on this one will be V25-009 to increase the maximum impervious surface area from 35% to 42.9%. So this subject parcel is a 0.36 acre lot located in the Concord Estates subdivision. So back in June of 2023, the applicant did construct a second floor to an existing garage at the time without unfortunately getting any of the proper permits or variances. Code enforcement did go out and then at this point, the applicant did move forward with the variance application in December of 2024, and it is before you today. So this property is currently occupied by a single-family home and what was formerly the detached garage on the property, which was 380 square feet at the time. So the existing garage was already non-conforming. It was built back in the 1970s prior to our current zoning ordinance and has an existing rear setback and side setback that are non-conforming to our current codes. So once the applicant did install that second floor, it did extend the non-conforming use, and thus you need to see it today to make sure that we bring it to our current codes. So the current setback on the rear is a reduction of just 1 foot, and then on the side, it is from 10 to 3, so we have a 7-foot encroachment there. So the applicant is looking to retain this structure as is, as it currently sits today. The structure does have a full bathroom and kitchenette on the first floor and a bedroom on the second floor. It is going to be accessed via an interior staircase, and there is a front door that accesses it as well. So due to the garage's existing non-conforming location, the most logical area to build this was on that second floor. Otherwise, there would be increased land disturbance to the property, which would also be increased impervious surface area, which could potentially draw detriment to both this property and neighboring properties. Thus, since this the existing structure was already there, this hardship is not self-created in terms of the setback reductions. So based on the definition of building height, this structure is going from 15 to 16.3 feet. Now the maximum height is slightly taller than that. However, our definition takes account into the grade, and there's a significant grade difference in the rear yard. So thus, it's only a difference of 1.3 feet. So this does keep it in line a little bit better with the existing home and kind of keeps the architectural integrity of the property. Additionally, since the original increase in the property's impervious coverage occurred back in 1970 and no additional impervious coverage will be expanded with this variance, engineering has determined that no additional mitigation is required to be able to support these variances. So there is a precedence of this type of at least setback reductions in this neighborhood. One of the neighboring properties on Ivanhoe Lane was approved for some rear setback reductions for a detached garage back in 1976. So again, there is a precedence for this in this type of neighborhood. So after review of the variance application, staff does support each of these requests and recommends your approval. We do have 6 stipulations on this one. The first is our standard. Approval of the requested variance is conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan and elevations submitted with the variance application. Number 2, the accessory structure shall not be permitted to have an oven or stove without obtaining an additional variance for a second kitchen. Number 3, gutters and downspouts shall be installed to divert stormwater away from adjacent properties. Number 4, the southern and eastern walls of the home shall either be a 1-hour rated wall or painted with fire retardant paint or as deemed necessary by the chief building official. Number 5, the proposed accessory structure shall not be rented or occupied for gain except as permitted in Chapter 22 as it pertains to the operation of short-term rentals. And finally, number 6, these conditions shall run in perpetuity with the property and as such are also applicable to any future homeowner. So I will also ask the board, I neglected to include a last stipulation on this regarding the building permit. It just didn't make it to the memo. This has been discussed with the applicant, but I would also request that we add a stipulation that the building permit must be obtained within 30 days of variance approval, if that is the motion you wish to make. That way we make sure that this does not continue to be a code violation. So I would request that we add a 7th stipulation. Other than that, I'm open to questions.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Crowe?
One quick question. Based on that last stipulation you're adding, with the coordination you've had with the applicant, is there any reason that that building permit might be delayed beyond 30 days?
So this would just be the issuance of it. I have spoken with the applicant. She does believe that she would be able to get the plans in that time. She's actually working on her contractor's license at the moment, so she's familiar with kind of what we're looking for. She's also spoken with our chief building official, Anthony Carter, about what kind of plans he would be looking for with the permit. So I do believe 30 days is sufficient. However, when she comes up, you can kind of verify that with her as well, but I don't see an issue with that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Crowe.
Thank you.
Mr. Price? How are you doing this morning?
I'm sorry. have a fear of public speaking.
Well, you're not speaking in public, you're speaking, this is fairly close. If you would, just state your name for the record, please.
Whitney Price.
Whitney Price, thank you very much. Is there anything that you would like to add to what Ms. Crow submitted?
Yes, so I have been working with Mr. Anthony Carter. We should actually have the drawings finalized in the next week, now that I've got clarity on what he needs. And I do want to say my heartfelt thank you for working with me on this, as I've gone through the ringer with contractors and thinking things were on the up and not. So I have actually applied for my general contractor's license and should be approved to test this month, actually. So that way I can help other people do things the right way.
You understand the 6 conditions that have been placed on this request, and all of them, and we won't read back through them again.
Yes, I
And we'll
do.
also add the 7th, that you do need to obtain a building permit within 30 days.
Absolutely.
And to Mr. Randall's point, do you think you'll have any issue with getting a permit in the next 30 days?
No, I do not.
Okay, all right. Are there any other questions for the owner?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you. I would recommend to you to sit close, because since there are 4 of these and we're going to do, we'll run through the other 3 fairly quickly, but stay tight, don't go too far. Okay. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this variance request, please do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve variance application V25-006, increase the accessory height structure from 15 feet to 16.3 feet, land lot 344 at 2834 Ivanhoe Lane, Whitney Price, the applicant, with the additional stipulation that a building permit be obtained within 30 days.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is variance request V25-006-007. Reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet on land lot 334 at 2834 Ivanhoe Lane. Whitney Price is the applicant. Ms. Crow, is there anything that you'd like to add to the background on this variance request?
Not at this time.
All right, are there any questions for Ms. Crow related to this request?
No.
No.
All right. Ms. Price, you understand that the conditions that applied to the previous one also apply to this. 6 that are listed, the 7th was add the building permit. You understand that our expectation, okay, very good. Okay, are there any questions for the applicant?
No.
No.
All right. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this variance request, please do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve V25-007, reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet in land lot 344 at 2834 Ivanhoe Lane, Whitney Price, the applicant, with the same stipulation as before, that the building permit must be obtained within 30 days.
We have a motion.
Want a second?
Sorry. I did second, now I'm saying 4. And second, I'm sorry. I'm going by the computer. I apologize to the public hearing. Speaking of public speaking.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get you some training. Please vote. And to clarify, the motion in the second was for the variance, not your training. We'll make a motion on that later. Next item on the agenda is a variance request -02, variance request V25-008. I'll be joining you apparently in your class. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time. Variance request V25-008, reduce the accessory structure rear setback from 5 feet to 4 feet on land lot 344 at 2834 Ivanhoe Lane. Whitney Price is the applicant. Ms. Crow, is there any additional background that we need to hear on this request?
No, there's not.
Are there any questions for Ms. Crow related to this request?
No.
No.
All right. Ms. Price, you understand the conditions, the 7 conditions that have been stated apply to this request as well? Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant?
No.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this request, please do so at this time by stepping forward. Hearing none, we will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve variance application V25-008, reduce the accessory structure rear setback from 5 feet to 4, land lot 344, 2434 Ivanhoe Lane, Whitney Price applicant, with the additional stipulation regarding a building permit within 30 days.
I second.
We have a motion that's been properly seconded. Please vote. That motion passes as well. Next item on our agenda is variance request dash V25 dash 009, which is to, we have, all right. Take two. Here we go. Next item on the agenda is variance request V24-009, increase the maximum impervious surface area from 35% to 42.9% on land lot 344 at 2834 Ivanhoe Lane. Whitney Price is the applicant. Ms. Crowe, can you bail us out of this, please?
Yes, and just for the record, that's V25-009.
I am stuck in the
Thank you.
past.
Nothing else. Thank you.
V25-00. I know it. This is what happens. It's karma. All right. Thank you for that correction. Are there any questions for Ms. Crowe?
No.
All right. Any questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay. You understand the stipulations apply to this one, whether I get it right or not, they still apply. All right. Awesome. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against V25-009, please do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve V25-009, a variance request to increase the maximum impervious surface area from 35% to 42.9% in land lot 344 at 2834 Ivanhoe Lane, Whitney Price, the applicant, with the same stipulation of the building permit to be issued within, issued in 30 days.
Thank you very much. This class is filling up quick.
I don't know.
And I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, item H, which is variance request V25-010, reduce the rear setback from 30 feet to 23 feet on land lot 702 at 2201 Goodwood Boulevard. Karen Stringer is the applicant, and we will have two requests or two variances applied for on this also, this property.
Yes.
Ms. Crowe, could you give us background, please?
Yes, so Caitlin Crowe, Planner 1 Community Development. So as you mentioned, there are two, so just like the previous ones, I'll go ahead and read them together, but you'll vote on them separately. So the first one that you mentioned is V25-010 to reduce the rear setback from 30 feet to 23 feet. And then the second variance we have today is V25-011 to increase the maximum impervious surface area from 30% to 41.5%. So this parcel is a 0.06 acre lot. It is a townhome within the Oakley Downs subdivision. So the subject property is currently occupied by a single-family townhome and a deck on the rear. It is currently over the maximum impervious surface area by 11.5%. Staff were unable to locate any of the original permits for the deck or any variances to account for its location. The applicant is looking to replace the deck in more or less the same spots. So the majority of the deck will be the same. They're just going to be squaring it up a little bit just to kind of make it a little bit more formal and make it, an easier construction as well. However, this is a very minor increase to that impervious coverage, and thus engineering has determined that no mitigation plan is required to be able to support this variance. However, since the stormwater ordinance does not differentiate between replaced and new impervious surface area, the variance was required since this is, again, extending a non-conforming use by completely replacing this deck and extending it that little bit, and thus the variance is in front of you today. So any type of increase to the property would have required this variance, and thus the hardship is not self-created. In fact, a similar impervious surface increase was approved back in 2023, just down the road at 2294 Goodwood Boulevard. So there is a precedence for this type of variance in the area as well. For that one, no mitigation was required either. So after reviewing the variance application, staff is supportive of both requests and does recommend your approval with the following 2 stipulations. The first, of course, is our standard stipulation. Approval of the requested variances is conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan and elevations submitted with the variance application. And the second one is the portion of the deck on the southern side of the home shall either be built of fire retardant lumber or painted with fire retardant paint, or as deemed necessary by the chief building official. And that is due to the fact that it is a townhome, so the property setbacks are different. And with that, I can answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Crowe. Are there any questions for Ms. Crowe?
I do have one, and looking at the plan for the deck, is that fire retardant paint for the entire deck structure on the south side, or is it just for that privacy wall that looks like it's being built?
That is a good question. I don't know if the chief building official did need it for the privacy wall. My understanding would be it would be for any portion of the deck that's on that side, not just the privacy wall. But that would be something our chief building official would be reviewing at the time of plan review. And I don't want to misquote him, but my understanding would be that it would be for the entire side.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Crowe.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Stringer? Or representative of? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you would state your name for us, please.
Yes, sir. Fernando Mello. I'm with M&M Home Exteriors, and I'm the contractor that's going to be rebuilding the deck.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add to what Ms. Crowe submitted?
No, the deck's going to be built almost exactly at the same location. We're just squaring a corner. We're adding probably 4 to 5 square foot of new deck. So, and we're aware of all the stipulations with the fire retardant, whatever they, request.
All right. And there are 2 stipulations, and you agree to meet
I
those
do.
stipulations as far as
Yes, sir.
substantial compliance with the plan, and then the flame retardant
Sure.
wood or paint. And if there is a question, I'm sure reaching out to community development, they can get that answer for you, clarified on the southern side, how far that flame retardant paint or wood needs to extend.
Correct. Last year, we did the same similar project on the same subdivision, and we submitted a fire retardant coating for the same type of decking, so we're
Excellent,
aware of the stipulations.
excellent. All right. Any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this variance request, please do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve variance application V25-10, reduce the rear setback from 30 feet to 23 feet, land lot 702 at 2201 Goodwood Boulevard. Kara Stringer, the applicant, as stipulated.
A second.
We have a motion and a properly seconded. Please vote. That motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is V25-011. Increase the maximum impervious surface area from 30% to 41.5%. You might want to hang around just a moment, sir. Sir? Let's do this second. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Variance request V25-011, increase the maximum impervious surface area from 30% to 41.5% on land lot 702 at 2201 Goodwood Boulevard. Kara Stringer is the applicant. Ms. Crowe, is there anything you'd like to add to this request?
Not at this time.
Any questions for Ms. Crowe related to this variance request?
No.
All right. As the owner representative, you understand the conditions that have been placed on this variance request apply to the second one as well. Substantial compliance and flame, okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the applicant?
No.
None.
All right. Hearing that we have no questions, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to speak for or against this request, please do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve V25-011, a variance request to increase the maximum impervious surface area from 30% to 41.5% in land lot 702 at 2201 Goodwood Boulevard. Kara Stringer, the applicant.
And I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That motion passes unanimously as well. Thank you. Now you're good to go. Thank you, you too. Last item on our agenda is approval of January 8th, 2025 License and Variance Board meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 8th, 2025 License and Variance Board meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That passes unanimously. Is there any other business that needs to come before this panel? Hearing none, we will adjourn. Lord have mercy.